The state of education, say those words and you can touch off a never-ending debate. Our country is not making the grade compared to other countries when it comes to education. And right here at home in Ohio, in our local communities, there's a concerted effort to get the job done. Hello everyone, I'm Cynthia Barnes and welcome to a conversation about education. Where do we stand right here in Northeast Ohio? Joining me to talk about that is Ellen McWilliams. She is the Assistant Superintendent in the Akron Public Schools. Deborah Metty, Superintendent for Springfield Local School District in New Middletown, Ohio. That's near Youngstown in Mahoning County. Sandy Womack is a principal in the Canton City School District. And Sandy, as the principal at one of the schools in the Canton School District, what kinds of challenges do you face daily?
I think one of the things that we see most often is a certain amount of apathy in regards to the educational opportunities that some of our students have just due to the poverty level. When you have a high degree of poverty, a lot of times you have quite a few parents who haven't benefited from higher education. We know in the United States of America that education and income go hand in hand, not by accident, but by design. So when you have families who've been who afforded the opportunity to get higher education in many cases, they pass that along to their students. So some of the things that we face are really just dealing with some of the discrepancies in regards to access to technology and resources, sometimes due to the federal allocations that are associated with No Child Left Behind in regards to the standardized testing, the 10% set aside for professional development, the 1% for parental involvement. But ultimately, when we have businesses and we have colleges and universities who partner up with our schools, we're able to achieve a lot. And that's why we do a lot of collaboration in inner city schools with businesses, colleges, churches and organizations, because we recognize it takes all of those folks in order to make a well-rounded student. And I was about to say, you know, the district that I'm currently serving in right now is a 72% poverty district. So that's almost 3 out of every 4 of our families are living in poverty. And as a result of it, one of the things that we found to be most effective is to be visible in your community. As a building principal, as a central office administrator, one of the things I've always done is walk the neighborhoods of my schools so I could find out about where the churches were, where the stores were, where the vacant homes were. And parents who were not working during the day would get a chance to see me and know me, and they knew that I was out and my teaching staff was out in the neighborhood, and that kind of helped give them some credibility and some security about what was going on at the school, because we became part of the community. A lot of times teachers will go to work, get in their cars, and they'll leave and go to an entirely different community than that in which they work in, especially in city schools. And so one of the things we tried to do, I think that's rather successful, is just to be very visible in the communities that we serve from the time we get to work, and in many cases to several hours afterwards. And that has helped in some cases in order to establish some credibility in those neighborhoods.
So taking the education to the communities. So it may be having meetings in the communities where these students go to school.
I got that from Cleveland. I used to be a teacher in Cleveland Public Schools, and in Cleveland Public Schools in Mary B. Martin Middle School, many parents didn't feel comfortable coming to our building. And I worked there. I could understand why. I hate to mention the name because the school is doing well now. It's an elementary school. But as a result of it, we went to the churches in that community in order to have parent-teacher conferences. We went to the local community center. It was in Fannie Lewis's neighborhood, so next to the Huff Medical Center. And we would have meetings and events there where parents felt a lot more comfortable, and that helped. But volunteering was still very difficult, but we tried to meet the needs of the parents, as she was speaking about in regards to, and I'm sorry for saying she, I just don't have the names right
Deborah,
now.
right, right.
I remember Springfield Local.
Right, very good.
And those are some of the things that we tried to do in order to, have parents feel a little bit more secure about our situation.
We get there.
You want to jump in there, I could tell.
No, I was just smiling. I thought about a comment that you had made earlier in regards to the state of education in the United States and the fact that 85% of the schools here in the state of Ohio are either in continuous improvement, effective, or excellent with distinction. And the thing that makes me smile is the fact that, no matter what the state of education is in the United States of America, almost everyone from across the world comes to our country in order to get educated in our colleges, in order to some places, go home with the education they received here. So we still provide a very strong quality education. I don't think testing is really the issue. Testing has become a multi-billion-dollar business. Has the oils right now. But at the same time, testing is necessary. We've taken Iowa's California Achievement Test, Stanford Diagnostic Testing, and so the thing about it is the thing that comes up with national standards. Many other countries have national standards, so students know exactly what to expect. But when you compare something like on the educational program we saw today, where Mississippi 89% proficient, Massachusetts 50% proficient in the 4th grade. We don't have a standardized test across this country other than the ACT and the SAT that is norm reference with stanines and percentiles. And as a result of it, to be proficient in some cases in the state of Ohio, you may only have to pass 42 to 48% of the test, and that is listed as proficient. So, you know, the testing, it varies so much, and I think if we could get something that was standardized, norm reference, percentile, then we would have a lot more validity in regards to what we do. Value added is excellent in regards to a growth model, but I still can't explain it to my teachers. Well, Terra Nova, Cargat test, or OGT, which is a strand reference, and they're like, well, how do we make growth, or what did we make growth or not? And so it's difficult to explain, but thank God for it, because as a result of those growth models, a lot of urban districts are seeing student achievement continue to increase because of things like value added. But I would really like to have something I could explain to the teaching staff.
As a principal.
Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with what she's saying here, but the reality of the situation is, as I look at it, we're all administrators, so we have to work 12 months a year anyway. So, you know, that's how our salary works out. We have to work 12 months to get it. I've been in administration since I was 29, and but in that time, I worked in 5 different school districts: Alliance, Akron, Canton, Columbus, and the Cleveland Public Schools. And I've been in Canton for my longest tenure. And the reality of the situation is, if you want to keep a quality teacher, I think you have to, as my father said, get in where you fit in. You need to have a teacher set up in an environment that is conducive to them, where they feel like a professional learning community, like Rick DeFord talks about quite often. So I have some teachers who really don't do well in a urban high poverty setting. And I have some teachers who thrive there. This is exactly where they want to be. And when you have a setting for a teacher who has the qualifications, meaning I'm certified in social studies 4 through 9, there's an opening at this building 4 through 9, and in order to be in compliance with No Child Left Behind, HQT, you place that teacher there. But that is not a good fit for that building just because they meet the qualifications, then that's when I think you have a lot of apathy and you have a lot of distress on that teacher. So I think one of the things that we have to try to do as a principal and administrator as well is find a way to allow teachers to, almost like departmentalization, what you mentioned earlier. If math is my best subject, then I should be teaching math as opposed to teaching reading and, you know, language arts and placing me in all these different positions. So that's one of the difficult things about it. When you have a strong quality teacher, you need to have an environment where they can grow and they feel comfortable in. And when you don't, I think that's when you see a lot of teachers end up leaving the profession, because a lot of first-year teachers get some of the toughest assignments, whereas a lot of our veteran teachers find themselves in the buildings where I can teach Halloween in October, Thanksgiving in November, Christmas in December. Right.
In the last few moments that we have, I want to ask all of you, what do you think about, we saw in the piece where some of the children were being paid to go to school, paid to learn. Very quickly, what do you think about that?
I would beg to differ with the ladies at the table for a couple of reasons.
You say if it's not working, then try something else?
Well, I did. As the principal at Lathrop Elementary School, we had the lowest performing elementary school in the Kansas City School District when I stepped in, 36% special education. So we started to reward the kids with $10 if they made the merit roll all year. You got $20 if you made the honor roll. We provided scholarships for kids who were in the 6th grade, you know, through Fisher Foods and Iron Rock. So if they achieved, they knew they had scholarships as 6th graders, that if they continued with high school, they would have someone to help pay for their education. And when we started to pay those students $10 for making the merit roll all year now, or $20 for the honor roll all year, my merit roll, honor roll assemblies, I saw more and more kids there, because sometimes the parents would come and pick up the check, like, hey, can I pick that up?
So there was no way to motivate them?
We rewarded them as Student of the Month. We had field trips and activities, but the one thing that I saw that stayed consistent is when those students knew at the end of the year, in our year-end assembly, Mr. Womack, it's my $10 I made the merit roll all year. I made honor roll all year. It was motivation, and maybe it's because it was a 96% poverty building and money motivated the parents. But we rewarded them with Student of the Month. We recognized them with field trips and activities. We gave them certificates. But we paid our students. And, you know, by the time I left, it was one of the highest performing elementary schools in Canton. So it worked for us. And as Mrs. McWilliams has said, you have to find out what works for each individual building with each individual school, because they're all different. The cookie cutter model doesn't necessarily fit, but it worked for us.